Full disclosure, news and commentary number 87, 87, 87, 87, 87. I did not just get out of the shower. I just got out of the hot tub, which was not so hot. Because the pool guy came and cleaned up the pool and the hot tub, and so they had to shut everything down for. These are first world problems for sure. And as you can see outside, it's not as gorgeous a day here in Florida. It's supposed to get mad cold, like the 50s tomorrow. The burden of late November in Florida. In any case, I look like this because I got up super early to knock out stuff because I have stuff scheduled throughout the rest of the day that I have to get done, work-related stuff. But these videos are important. So right after this, I'm going to do my Young Bucks video as well. This one's going to take a minute because I have a bunch of pictures and video to add to it. Blah, 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 blah. All right, let's get to it, baby. So full disclosure number 87. Patreon people, what can I say? We added somebody else this week. Super exciting. So we got D and Dan and Derek and Diana. Look, I finally organized it by letter. Joseph, Black, and Justin. Of course, we got Brett, Brian, Larry, not that one, but the other one, Rob Rod. And then, of course, the OGs, Eric the World Walker, and the OG, Myron. Our commentary today is about Jimmy Rave. People, I'm sure, have seen the announcement by now. All the national websites have been covering it as well. Jimmy Rave, a big fucking deal. And but I'm going to talk about how Jimmy Rave highlights a transition that we've gone through in wrestling. And I'm even going to tie in the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. event that happened, which I also watched. And how wrestling has changed irrevocably. But that might not be a bad thing. In fact, I would argue that it is not, though it is changed. And accepting it is the way to go. But of course, people will be loath to do that. All right, I'm going to... Let me do this while I'm thinking about it. I got an unboxing to do. I'm very excited. We're getting into December. Last year, I got the best present unboxing on Christmas that I'm probably ever going to get. If you feel challenged to defeat that, feel free. People are kind of hinting at, like, what's stuff that I can get you that would be cool. I will just say in general, I am a tech-ignorant guy for the most part. Look how long it's taken me where I can put pictures and stuff in these videos. Something I noticed today when I was working out, because it's like a public facility where I work out, and I couldn't really listen to music or anything like that because wire headphones with this thing, it just don't seem to work very well because of the screen protectors and the cases and stuff that I have. So if somebody wanted to get me accessories for the phone where I could just have the Bluetooth or whatever in my ear so I can listen to music, be on phone calls, all that kind of stuff, that would be amazing. But again, if it's too expensive, don't sweat it. And, you know, people are asking what they can get for the kids. Dude, much appreciated. And, of course, T-shirts and stuff like that. I always love that shit. Money, always the bomb as well. I'm trying to plan the Christmas excursion. For those that don't know, I always do something wacky with the kids. One year we went to the beach and then went to a movie. Traditionally, we always go to a movie, and because Wonder Woman 84 is coming out on Christmas Day, we'll probably do something around that. But I found a thing that looks super awesome in Daytona, so we might drive up there and do that. All right, shit. Sorry, let's get into this shit. We're going to do the unboxing, and then we're going to go. This one's weird. It's obviously from Groupon, and it's obviously super thin and tiny. Which means, of course, it is definitely going to get a gig wrestling in the state of Georgia. That sounded like a dig, and I guess it was. All right. So, if the package is open, I will take it out so you can see it before me. There it is. Yay. What is it? That is Chinese lettering, not Japanese, so I'm going to have a bit of a trouble, though there's a little bit of crossover. Oh, that's, I hate to use the word cute, but it is cute. I believe what this is are, let me see if I'm right. It is indeed holiday themed masks. Is there a note? For you and the kids. That's all it says. It doesn't say who it's from. Well, you rule. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3. This one with the trees. This one with the Santa hats. This one with the reindeer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in all. Thank you very much. Holiday themed stuff for me and the kids. We're definitely going to wear them. We're definitely going to use them. And we're definitely going to give you credit if you will take the credit. Super appreciated. That gets our holiday off to a great start. Holiday season. All right. Videos galore. I don't have a pen here to mark it down. Hopefully I just remember to do this. Yay. This is really exciting. The young bucks noticing the videos that I've done. And my Twitter is going way up in followers, which means I am obligated to use my Twitter more. Now I use it 2 or 3 times a day, whereas before I would do like 2 or 3 times a month tops, only if I remember to share a video on there. But now I'm going to start tweeting more. So definitely join me on there. Stephen Platinum, easy enough to find, right? Woo! But the young bucks have noticed are now sending people my way to watch the videos. I do a chapter of their book a day. And after today's, which is, I believe, chapter 7, I'm getting close to the halfway point. Boom, 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 boom. The book has been very enjoyable. To the person who sent this to me, who asked to not be named, but the 2 people who sent it to me, who asked to not be made a big deal of, that sent me this. Thank you very much. I've gotten into reading books again. Wrestling books again. I continue to read outside of wrestling, but I just haven't really been into the wrestling books that I've read lately. But this one I'm definitely into. It's everything I can do to not fight, to continue to read well in advance. I like to read the chapter soon before I do the videos, because then it's fresh in my mind. Even though I take notes and I mark up books, yeah, I'm that guy. So thank you very much. Videos galore happening, right? You're going to get, full disclosure, Young Bucks. So you're going to get a Young Bucks chapter every day. That goes without saying. You're going to get the Raw. You're going to get Dark. You're going to get Dynamite. And this Dynamite's going to be a big one, right? And then I heard tonight there's going to be a Road to Winter is Coming. And you know that I look at that stuff too, so that's another one. Then you got NXT, you got SmackDown that I've added. Whenever there's pay-per-views, I do those as well. Other videos I've got coming up. I'm going to do another preview because ICW is coming back in January. So I'm going to definitely do a preview for that. And I'm coming. What? That's what she said. I am showing up in Georgia at last. My plan is to be there December 11th and 12th. December 11th, I'm coming to Southern Honor because I promised if they made another full year, I'm not even going to bullshit about the COVID shit. They did it. Good for them. It's awesome. So I'm going to come to that December 11th show. I'm going to talk about the December 11th show today is a lot of the video. And December 12th, because Larry is not going to be at Southern Honor, and we are podcast besties. By the way, we don't know if we're going to do a podcast this Tuesday, but we're definitely going to do one on the 8th and the 15th. But we may do this one on this Tuesday as well. Cool, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go wherever Larry goes on Saturday. So that would be most likely WrestleMerica. However, if Rob decides he wants to go to WrestleMerica, then Larry and I may go to Southern Violence. We shall see. But we're going to be around, I'm going to be around December 11th and 12th. And I'm excited. Dude, I haven't been to Georgia in a long time. And for somebody who, even after I moved to Florida, still came to Georgia every weekend, which is insane. That's a long time, and it's too long, and I'm happy to be there. GWCW, Georgia World Class Wrestling, had 73 on Thanksgiving night. A couple of people ventured and did shows on Thanksgiving night, and it was definitely a contrast. So GWCW had what considered to be not a successful show crowd-wise, but they did a show Thanksgiving night. What does this say? Southern Fried is this Saturday. So contrast the GWCW show with 73 to the KLT show. Get used to hearing those motherfucking letters because they can't be denied anymore. And just like I've tried to bring Southern Georgia into the fold wrestling-wise to middling levels of success, granted. KLT, folks, a confirmed 550 people they did on Thanksgiving night. Let me say that again. 550 people on Thanksgiving night paying money for a ticket. I know if your instinct right now is to come up with a million excuses of why, if your instinct right now is to completely disavow it and disbelieve it, just know that on November 21st, which wasn't that long ago, by the way, in fact, it was just a few days before the Thanksgiving show. They drew 425, and they've been averaging crowds of between 400 and 500, doing about a show a month. But in a month where they did 2 shows during the same week, they got 425 and 550. And when you look at that talent on that show, for the most part, you would say this is not a great show. But it is undeniable what they're doing. It is undeniable what the once Mr. Atlanta has put together. So Larry's going to get him for an interview. We're going to fucking talk to this motherfucker. Because right now, your reaction to 550 lets you know who you are as a wrestling person. Is it, I got to get on that show? Is it that stabs me in the gut as a promoter? Or are you just quick to dismiss it? Like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's wherever that show is. At the very least, what you should want to do is investigate further. Because wouldn't you be a fool not to? Pro Wrestling Circuit rescheduled for December 19th. Wrestling United rescheduled for January 2nd. I haven't seen the report yet, but Larry let me know what was going on at AWE. So for their 4 hours of taping, so they could put together 4 television shows, please correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, right? They had about 100 people paying $25 to $30 a head. So a good outing for them. I was told the Priscilla Kelly match was really fucking good and probably the best women's match that's taken place in the state this year. Fucking awesome shit. PWX in the Carolinas is starting again. Let's talk about this Southern Honor list. So Joe Black relinquished the title. So on the 11th, December 11th, I and everybody else who's there is going to get to witness a tournament. So Dylan, the booker, picked 6 people. They're going to go up against Gary's 6 picks in singles matches. So you're going to have 6 singles matches, and then the winner from those singles matches are going to go on to be in a scramble, and the winner of that scramble that same night is going to be the champion. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's it. I want to look at these picks. I want to talk about them a little. I'm sure people like Rob Rod are going to do the great stuff that he usually does in analyzing who's got the best odds of winning and things like that. I want to look at the picks themselves, starting with their first picks. So for Gary, it's Gunnar Miller. For Dylan, it's Owen Knight. And again, we get to see a contrast in their way that they're thinking about this thing. Gary is thinking about it in terms of practicality. Who would have the best chance to win? Gunnar Miller, he got the last title shot. He's a big athletic dude. I didn't need to read their write-ups. I knew exactly what their mentality was in picking these people. And it shows a glaring difference between Gary's mentality and Dylan's mentality. Am I saying that's a bad thing? No. But I am saying how it shows that Gary thinks like a promoter and as a practical kind of wrestling fan, and Dylan is way too beholden in this thing of making things look good instead of trying to win. Here's what I mean. So Gary picks Gunnar Miller. Dylan picks Owen Knight. If this is a draft thing, and I do believe it really was, and I do believe they didn't know who each other's picks were going to be, Dylan's strategy is shit. Is Gary going to pick Owen Knight for his top 6? No. So Dylan, by picking Owen Knight first, who is that pick for? It's for his appearance to Owen Knight and the smart marks that be. Look, aren't I great? I picked Owen Knight. Be impressed. But in terms of Southern honor, does Owen Knight make sense to pick as a first-round draft pick for a shot to win their title? Not at all. I'm not saying he shouldn't be one of the 12, but even if he should be one of the 12, is he really 1 or 2? No. The Owen Knight pick makes no sense for a number of reasons. 1, he's not in their 4 or 5 main guys. 2, it's not a pick that Gary Lamb is making, so for Dylan to waste his first pick on a guy that Gary Lamb is not threatening to put on his side at all makes no sense in terms of a draft. And Dylan, as a football guy who loves the Steelers, God help him, should know that. This is a draft game, and Gary destroyed Dylan in the draft game. Not just because of who he put on his team, but the tactics he used to pick them. I would guess that Dylan agonized way more about his picks than Gary's did, but because Gary's focus was, who are the 6 biggest stars that I can put in this thing? And who's going to look great on a poster? Who's going to make me look like a genius when they win? His focus was narrower. And I would argue better, where Dylan had all of these other factors he was worrying about. He was worrying about impressing everybody but himself, and worrying about everything except for the one factor which should have mattered the most, which was, I'm going to pick the guy that's going to win. Now you're saying, but Dylan's the booker. He's the one who's going to have to arrange these things. He can make himself look like a genius. Yeah, but does he really? Or, in other words, if Owen Knight wins this whole thing, does that feel like the fulfillment for that crowd of this is a story fulfilled and it's great? I'll just leave that answer up to you. Next round, Dylan picks Ashton Starr. Gary picks David Ali. Would Gary have picked Ashton Starr? I doubt it. So again, a second round pick is wasted, especially because Dylan got to go first. Gary picks David Ali under the guise of, I'm all about loyalty, but David Ali is also a star on the rise. I will say this for Dylan's pick, at least Ashton Starr was a former champion, albeit for just one time, right? And in this weird quick way. Flash in the pan champ, really. Placeholder champ, really. But he's the only one on this list who is a former champion. You're having a list of people going for the Southern Honor title, and there are no ex-champs, with the exception of Ashton Starr, whose title reign has an asterisk at best. There's no Corey Hollis. There's no what's his butt, who was the first champion. There's no Alan Angels. There's no AC Mack. There's no Logan Creed. So, am I saying that makes the list bunk? No. I just find it really strange that the booker, I can understand Gary not picking them for various reasons. I can't understand Dylan not having an ex-champ on there besides Ashton Starr. So I'd say Gary won that second round as well. The third round are the Lynches, which I consider a wash round because the Lynches to me should have been included and then they each should have got 5 picks. The Lynches were supposed to be in the title match in a 3-way dance against Joe Black. So to me, their inclusion is irrelevant. It should have absolutely happened independent of being picked for a draft. So I'm not even going to go over that round. The fact that Gary picked Joey first tells me something, because in their singles match, Matt beat Joey, but I think what this is telling us is that Joey is sort of earmarked to be the star. That's just my rough guess based on the order of the picking. All right, next round. Dylan picks Hold My Beer Hansen, who should not be on this fucking list at all. He's in your top 6 to win your title. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Like, no. Gary picks Chip Day, a guy who's been a champ, a major champ in every promotion he's ever wrestled in prominently. Great pick. Brilliant pick. And a guy who's picked up nothing but victories since he's been in Southern Honor and had solo matches. Gary wins again. Next round. Very Morales by Gary. Kyle Matthews by Dylan. The Kyle Matthews story, I saw Huckabee was trying to bitch and moan and say, well, has Kyle won a match? Yeah, Kyle's won his matches since he's been in Southern Honor. So that argument was really stupid. This is the one round Dylan won. Gary, though, picked the hot up-and-comer. That's what you're supposed to do with your late round picks. So I'm not knocking Gary's pick as much as I'll say that, oh, look, Dylan actually picked somebody that Gary may have picked in a round afterwards. So I'll say Dylan won that round. And then last round, Jordan Kingsley by Dylan, who lost the match against Chip Day. And it seemed like a concession to Logan Chase, who was sort of going, well, what about one of my guys? What about one of the honor roll? Why aren't they there? And Dylan felt like he gave in to him with that pick, which is a sign of weakness, right? You gave in. And Gary picks Cyrus, the big jacked up monster. Gary wins again. So out of these rounds, throwing out the Lynch rounds, so it's 5 rounds. Gary won 4, Dylan won 1. I can't wait to see who's going to win this tournament. And I can't wait for somebody to bitch to my face that I basically implied that they shouldn't have been picked. I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't have been picked. I'm just saying that these 2 draft picks show a difference of mentality between the two, and Gary was going for the jugular and Dylan was looking to appease. Am I wrong? Cool. Let's get to the commentary. So Jimmy Rave, arm amputated above the elbow. I can't believe I saw a debate about what that meant. Fuck you. People are covering this as a big story, as they should. It is a big deal. Jimmy contacted me last night and wanted a certain statement put up. So I sent it to Larry to make sure it went up on gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com. And Jimmy is of a different time in the wrestling business. And to me, he may be the last. He represents the last of a certain breed of wrestler. Meaning the guys that lived hard. And the guys that were true carnies. Am I saying that they don't exist anymore? They do. But they're of his generation. The new generation is not that way. And a lot of people want to decry the new generation. But there's a few things I figured out about the modern wrestler. And reading the Young Bucks book has highlighted this to me. Especially the chapter. It's funny how when you notice things, so people call that like the secret or the kismet or something like that. To me, it's just I'm on the lookout for it. So when I see a certain thing written that I'm already kind of looking for, it jumps out at me. And something that's in this chapter that I'm going to highlight, called Culture Shock in Japan. It's Matt, I believe. Yes, Matt, the older brother, who writes, because he's talking about wrestling for a Japanese promotion where they're getting paid $100 a match and they're having to do everything, put up the ring, they're really paying their dues. And then he told us that Mochizuki just received a call back home that his wife delivered a healthy baby. I remembered being shocked, asking Nick, why is this guy here at this random small show instead of by his wife's side? But then I remembered, if you're a wrestler, you don't miss a show. It's just the culture of the business, the one I had been conditioned to respect. You only miss a show if you're hurt, and even then, most times you just work through it. I felt like this way of thinking needed to be changed one day. That's the new generation in a nutshell. The old generation, go out, get drunk, get high, rock and roll freaking lifestyle, rambunctious on the road, living hard, burning the candle at both ends, cliche, cliche, cliche. New generation, rather go home, rather go to their hotel room after the show playing video games, rather find other ways to make money that aren't just simply selling merch at the show, but things that they can do after wrestling. And wrestling's reaction by and large is to hate this. The WWE thing about the third party, about Twitch and about YouTube and stuff, we can debate the merits of it legally, the merits of it morally, but I think what people are missing the point is it's a seismic shift in the mentality of the performers in the business. And it's not a bad thing. And that is one thing that we have learned through this pandemic is that the WWE on one level does not give a shit about you. They will fire whomever because to them, ultimately, it's a business and it's about the bottom line. But it does show a distinct lack of loyalty and caring. And to insist that that loyalty and caring go one way without it going the other is no longer tolerated. Though that's what's always been preached in wrestling. You wrestle hurt regardless. And we lionize people for that. And I have lionized people for that. And even the idea of steroids, I think most people who are wrestling fans and wrestlers themselves don't have a problem with it. It's a choice that they're making. Appearance is important. And it's their ability to recover from injury. But that's not really what we think of when we think of steroids, is it? Let's be honest with ourselves. But what it comes down to is, and if there are harmful effects, well, that's just on the wrestler. Because the mentality is, you do whatever you have to do going one way from wrestler to promotion, but promotion to wrestler doesn't have to be that way. You're an independent contractor, but yet you have to have ultimate loyalty to us. But that's fair, and even people who I like and respect have said things to me like that. Yeah, but it's still a dream gig, and so basically the implication, you should just be happy and accept your lot. And I say to the younger generation that seems to be taking umbrage with that, good for you. Now, I can't tell you right now what the practical effects of that are. I can only say this. Looking out for yourself is not a bad thing. Are there consequences to that? Sure. But there are always consequences to the choices you make. That's irrelevant. The fact that the new generation appears to be, and this goes with AEW and how they're different from the WWE. I'm not saying they're ideal. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that there is a mentality there from Tony Khan and AEW in general that the quality of your life matters with how they handle COVID stuff, who they have allowed to stay home, how they've not punished people for things that were COVID related. When people had things in their personal life, they told them to go just take care of it. When wrestlers, during the whole speaking out thing, they handled those things on a one-on-one basis in ways that made sense. And for certain guys where the allegations were just too much or the evidence was too much, they let them go. And for other guys, they gave them a chance to make up for it. And they handled those things on a one-on-one basis, without the mentality of what is the outside world going to think as much as the WWE. The WWE, which, by the way, if you're still bitching and thinking about the third party thing that I seem to be advocating for the wrestlers for, keep in mind this. Bruce Pritchard, who is a contracted person with them, is allowed to make money through his third party shit. Now, if your initial argument is, well, but that's what Bruce has worked out, so it's a... Again, you're missing my point, which is the mentality, which is Bruce Pritchard is more valuable to us than the wrestlers themselves. So we're going to make concessions for him. It's not about even-handed fairness. It's not even about this notion of, it'll be better if we do it at the WWE because everyone will get a bigger piece of the pie. That's horseshit. Because they've set up nothing. Right? So, at the end of the day, the business, and by the business, I don't mean just pro wrestling. I mean the entertainment business. I mean combat sports and everything. It is going through a shift where people are demanding more. And that's going to affect the UFC especially. and boxing. You want numbers? Tyson and Jones, who were the undeniable draws of that pay-per-view, such as it was, which was $50, got $1 million each. Are they worth it? Sure. Nobody would have bought that shit if not for them. And from what I saw, a whole lot of people got it. Now, whether they watched it for free or not, I would tend to think that they actually, most of them paid for it. I think when the numbers come out on that shit, it's going to be a success. Okay? But what were the memes? What was everybody really interested in after the fight? Who stole the show? Now, you'd say Snoop Dogg. Great. We can find out what Snoop Dogg got paid. Here's the stat I found the most interesting. So if Tyson and Jones, who boxed their thing, Jones clutched and grabbed him the whole time, they each got $1 million for a draw. That was unsatisfying, which felt like it was a setup for them doing it again. Again, unsatisfying. But Jake Paul knocked fucking Nate the fuck out. You know what they got for the fight? $600 each. Tyson and Jones got $1 million. Jake Paul and Nate Robinson fighting on the semi-main event of this card, which we're going to find out a whole bunch of people witnessed. And you know what all of them are going to look up? They're not going to look up John Jones or Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson clutching and grabbing and struggling to get through their rounds. What is everybody looking up and making memes about? Nate getting knocked the fuck out by Jake. And they got $600 each. No bonus for winning. No bonus for anything. Now, will they get bonuses on the back end and sponsorship deals and that kind of thing? Probably. But if you don't think that there's some kind of thing wrong with the mentality that says we're going to pay these guys $1 million and we're going to pay these guys $600. Now, if you're screaming, oh, but the opportunity and the blah, 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 you're stuck in the old mentality. And I understand because I have it too. And I'm having to wrap my mind around things are changing. And I dare say that they're changing for the better. And if you can't even open up your mind to the possibility that we can treat people in a different way and still have pro wrestling survive, maybe it would even thrive and do better. If you're under the mentality that the way that WWE is going about business is good for the long-term health of professional wrestling as an entity, you're crazy. Because SmackDown, which is the better show than Raw right now, is still run like shit. And Vince McMahon, who was once famous for, I'm going to get there first, is now rolling in at noon. The old generation is dying. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. Literally. How does this trickle down to the indie promotions? I think the indie promotions that realize that they're in a true partnership with the wrestlers that work for them, while understanding that there still needs to be delegated tasks and people need to respect that, are the ones that are going to survive and thrive. I said 2019 was about the have and have-nots. But you know what we're finding out? What COVID put into finite focus? That 2020 is about something different entirely. And that is that the ones that are healthy and adapt will survive and thrive. And the ones that refuse to change and are stubborn, well, we all know what happens to things that won't bend. They break. That choice is yours. This has been Full Disclosure.